So let me share a cheat code with you. You ready? You ready for a cheat code?
Ready. Love cheat
Yeah.
codes.
So here's a cheat code. Anytime you start out a talk, anytime you start speaking to an audience, your goal is to get them inside their heads within the first 15 seconds. And one of the ways that you can do that really easily is by simply asking a question.
Mm.
See, there's this brain process called instinctive elaboration. And all that means is that anytime you ask a question, the mind cannot help but answer it. Right. And so if I ask a question, your brain is sorting through all its information decks. You know, back in the day, I would say sorting through the Rolodex, but I don't know. I don't think we use Rolodexes anymore. But if I ask you a question, I've got to make sure it's a good question. It's not just a yes or no question. Even a yes or no question, though, isn't the worst. If I say to you, have you ever experienced a cold winter? Your mind would sort through and say, yes, I have experienced a cold winter. Better question is, the last time a cold winter happened, what did it feel like for you? And so now you're like, okay, yep, found the winter. Okay, yep, still sorting. Okay, where's the picture? What was I wearing? Oh my gosh, I was wearing a coat that had a fur around it, but the wind was really windy. And I remember walking outside and the snow gusts and everything was just blowing in my face. And I thought that I was wrapped up warmly enough, but all of a sudden I wasn't, because I could feel it, and my eyelids and everything just felt frozen. You've now caused them to reach back and grab the experience, grab the moment, grab the emotion of that time. And you've done that like that. You've caused them to jump into a story simply by a 3 to 4 second question that you've asked.
And it's a kinetic experience, which
Yep.
it ties it. This is full circle for me, understanding your style, because that's what you're doing, is you're making them feel it.
Yep.
And yeah, that's amazing. What are your tips for communicating with confidence to move people to action? I know we talked about, I asked you about, how do you know when your story is landed? But whenever someone goes into a presentation and they have a specific thing, let's say they want to get um, 5 of 7 community leaders to agree to have their program as part of a community development program.
Mhm.
Or I'll just stop with that as an example. What are your tips for someone to have confidence going before this group of people who might be older than they are, and moving them to action?
I want to attack the word confidence for
Okay.
just a moment,
Okay.
because when people ask the question, how do I have confidence? It appears like there's an on and off switch, right? You were in high school and there was somebody that just appeared confident. I remember when I was in high school, telling a story about myself, there was this kid who, this Italian guy, muscular, hair perfectly moosed and slicked back. And, he would come in with the rolled up sleeves. And so this kid walked in, and when he walked into a room, people paid attention, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh, he's confident. He's confident. And I thought that there was this switch. It was the way that you look. Confidence is repetition with the expectation of success,
Like that.
right? And
Yeah.
so if I think about my daughter several years ago, when I started to teach her how to drive,
Mhm.
when she first got into the car, she would think about, okay, my daddy said, place my hands at 10 and 2. Okay, let me do that. Then she would say, okay, yep, now I've got to fix my rear view mirrors. And now I've got to look in the back. I've got to check the backup camera. And then, okay, let me move the gear shift from P to R. Okay. And then I do that. Now I'm in the street. Let me tap the gas a little bit to see how far and how fast it's going to take me. And she's walking through all of these things. Some months later, my daughter, I don't have to drive her in the car anymore, because now she's got a license, and she hops in the car, zoop, 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 and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's a bat out of where, um, driving down the street. And I'm scared now, right? But what's happened is she has confidence, because she has repeated an action over and over and over again. So how do you get confidence? Well, you've got to find out ways of repeating an action over and over again. You're doing this right now. You've got how many episodes of the Avant-Garde podcast do you have?
You are number 74.
I love it.
Yes.
Right. So
Yep.
when you started your first episode, did you do a podcast before this?
This is my first podcast, and I
Love it.
started with video
Yep.
and yeah, all
Love
the
it.
things.
So your very first podcast, the first time that you hit record or that you were preparing, you were probably like, "Oh my gosh,
I was a wreck.
who is this person coming on? Are
Yeah.
they going to think I'm like inept? Are they going to think I have no idea what I'm doing? Am I going to ask good questions? Are they going to respond? Are there going to be awkward pauses in the conversation? What's happening?" Right? You're thinking all of this. Now, 74 episodes in, you might have a few of those thoughts still, but you also have the experience behind you to know that, oh my gosh, for 73 episodes, for the most part, they went well. Yeah, it weren't perfect, but in the moments where it wasn't perfect, guess what? That was a learning moment. I now know something new from that, and I can build on it. Right. And so that is how we gain confidence. So turning back to your original question, entrepreneurs, people having to go in front of lobbyists, politicians, people in their area. Okay, how do you do that? What is your practice? Where are you practicing? I like to do something called practicing in public. And I do that by showing up on podcasts. I do that by doing my own live streams. I do that by creating videos and posting those to social media. What is the action and the activity that you're repeating daily, regularly, in order to increase your confidence, increase your repetitions, and thereby get better at that thing?